Smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues.
Right, welcome back to Vintage Engines of Derbyshire. This video I'm by myself. Kane at the moment is getting ready for a truck show. I'm sure he may or may not do a video on that. But yeah, the Ruston's looking a little different. I'm doing the main crank seals because if you can't remember, when we went to my first ever meet, the malt shovel that I hosted, both big end fibre washers were leaking. So we had new ones delivered, and I've just not really been bothered to take the flywheels off both sides. But today I got bored and I've gone and done it. Sorry if you hear dogs barking, next door's got too many. And they've also filed a noise complaint against me for the stationary engines, so now I cannot run any engines. So if you are wanting to see engines run, I'm afraid you won't see them on this channel. Well, you will see them on this channel running, but not on my back garden. Hopefully though, in the near future, I will be able to run them again. But until then, I am unsure as to whether or not they will run again at this premises. But instead of dwelling on incompetent neighbours, let's get to work. So, on this crank, you had the fibre washer, that's the original one, and you also have this, it's almost like a gland packer that sits on there and compresses the fibre washer against the crank, making a nice seal. So yeah, let's get this back on. I'll film taking the other side off. But yeah, so there's our fibre washer. Just make sure we are the correct size. Might just want a tiny bit of stretching. And what do you know, it fits lovely on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of oil on it. Just dunk it in there, soak it in oil. That's just so it makes a half decent seal around the crank and elsewhere. Whole thing soaked in some nice oil. Right, there we are, there's the whole thing soaked in oil. Now what we want to do is pull it around the crankshaft, very gently as well, because these things are delicate. And you want to slide it back along, making sure there's no folds or twists in the seal. And you want to make sure it's as flat as it can be against the white metal bearing. Now the next thing to do is to grab your gland packing part of the engine, press it up against there. Now we have had a bit of oil seep out, but that's just because of the oil that I put on to help seal and put on. And it's just two flathead screws that hold the gland on, or the gland packing plate. I don't know what you'd call this. Similar to our steam engine's piston. It doesn't leak steam out where there's a bit of lead rope that stops the steam from just all rushing out of the connecting rod. No, sorry, the piston, it's not the connecting rod, is it? So you just want to make sure these are nice and tight. You want to tighten them down as evenly as you can so you don't get no warps or an unevenly squoze gland or fibre wash or whatever you want to call it. That's tight. That one there is now tight, and I will get a 13mm on the end of my screwdriver, just to give these that extra bit of tightness to make sure that they won't come loose during a rally. There we are. Right, that's tight, that's all packed up. So, let's get rid of the old fibre wash. You can see how the new one is all nice, lovely and square, and that one's kind of just had it. So yeah, the new one's in and ready, and it does seal. I've got a bit of wood in the flywheel here to stop the flywheel from turning much. That's just as I was getting it off. So, I'm going to find some material to clean that off with. So we've got a lovely mating surface. And then, should just be a case of putting the flywheel back on. So I can't find much apart from a glove, but hey, anything will do, as long as this is nice, lovely and clean. There we are, getting there. Clean the keyway. Gotta make sure you've got a lovely clean keyway. There we are, there's that shaft all nice and clean. Now I'm going to get a bit of oil and spread this oil about onto the shaft. Not a lot, but just enough to cause a bit of slip. So that the flywheel can go on lovely. Right, let's grab the flywheel. Here's one I prepared earlier. Right, let's put my boot under it so I don't scratch the flywheel. And what I'm going to do quickly is just run the glove inside here so that all in here is nice, lovely and clean, so there's no aggro caused when trying to put the flywheel back on. So as you see, the main keyway's up, so that would mean, let's just check the flywheels, yep, that the counterweight is at the top. So just line that up, lock it on, give it a few rotations just to try and get on. I think that's it on the shaft. Just keep us spinning and rotating it on. There we are. And there will be a point where it will just slip straight on, which clearly isn't there. Right, so judging by that, that is roughly where I want it to be. So let's get this thing keyways aligned on the flywheel, make sure the counterweights are in line, and then where do I put the glove? This here device is a keyway, and this stops the flywheel from rotating on the crank. As you can see, it's a dead simple little thing. It's a block of steel. Some of them do have a little angle on them so that when they drive in they also get taut and squoze in place. This one is just a simple little keyway, and we need my tapping hammer, and where do I put that flat blade? Just there. So I like to strike the keyway, top corner, and just gently tap it in. There we are. And you want the keyway to be as flush as you can flywheel, like so, and then I'm going to remove this spanner here, also remove that bit of wood. That spanner was placed in the opening there, just so it opened up the casting just a bit, to make the flywheel a hell of a lot easier to take off and put on. But now it's making the job a bit harder, because we've got to get the damn thing out. Right, now the last thing to do is to grab the bolt that now clamps down on the flywheel. You gotta remember which way is which. So yeah, the bolt header goes in the right hand side, and the nut goes in the back. Right, let's get this thing tightened up. It's a 23mm, believe it or not. So yeah, you want this lovely and tight, because when this engine was at a rally field that my granddad took it to, one of my granddad's mates literally walked up to this flywheel and just grabbed it and pulled it off. And that's because there was no keyway and this bolt here wasn't tight. So yeah, tighten that up so we don't have any problems with that. And there we are, that's one crank seal done. Oh my. So yeah, the reason why the Ruston is here at the moment is because, if you can remember, at the Ilkeston car meet, which was last video, this kept on popping and banging and never really ran. It ran for like 5 seconds, but it kept on throwing serious backfires out of the carburettor. And I was playing around with the timing, no matter where I put the timing it'd still pop out the carburettor. So that leads me to think that one of the valves aren't seating properly. But as you can see, when I test the compression, it does seem to bounce, unless I've got a slight leak. No, shouldn't be no leak on that one. So that one there would have been that would have been testing both valves, yeah. There's no way to singly test a valve unless you have specialist tools. But it did go quite easily that way. But hey, we've got a fair bit of compression. As you can see by the oil checker, there is definitely loads of oil in there. So what else could we check? I reckon that whilst I am this saw, whilst I'm currently throwing around all my spanners, I check. Oh, help, just knocked you down. Can you still see it, that? I'd say you can, but I'm going to move you around anyway. So yeah, I'll put you back on once you moved. Right, so you have been successfully moved without anything falling over. So yeah, I'm going to take the valve cover off, I think that is. No, sorry, that's the water jacket cover. Why am I taking that off? I reckon the next job is to take the other side's flywheel off, which is going to be rather fun. So yeah, let me reposition you to do the other side flywheel. Right, so this is the other side. I'm going to want the 23mm spanner to do the top bolt on the flywheel. No, I don't need the 23, do I? That side there's 23. So let's try a 22. So this side bolt's smaller. Still not a 22. Let's try a 21mm. There we are, 21. So it's a 21. Let's crack that loose. Right, little tap in on there. Just tuck that bolt through. There we are. Now, this one's going to be rather fun and interesting. And I might need to do some resoldering as well. The keyway is there. It's just going to be a matter of tapping the keyway out. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this one, if I'm honest. I honestly do not know what to do. Right, let me pause the video and I'm going to have a think on how to do things. Okay, so there's been a slight change of plan. Yeah, this flywheel doesn't want to come off. But at least we've done that side. At least that side's been done. This side wasn't leaking as much, but other than that, I think the next job on this will just be cleaning it, really, I reckon. I need to resolder a fuel pipe, but I don't have out hot enough, nor do I have solder, so that'll be a job for Mr. Ethan. So I don't even know if this thing will be running for my pear tree event on Sunday. By the way, if you want to come to that, it's in Ripley, so in Ripley, Derbyshire, and it's the Pear Tree Hotel, uptown. Hopefully some people can make it there. I think what I might just do with this is keep topping the carburettor up with fuel. If it makes it there, it makes it there. If not, it doesn't. If it runs, it runs. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I think next job should be cleaning. I would say let's try and get it going, but the neighbours would complain and whinge. That's another thing for film. I'm trying to get as much content as I can, because at the moment my videos seem to be really short, not really learning much, and they go nowhere really. So yeah, let's put the pulley back on. Oh hello, I've just noticed something. If you look down there, my carburettor handle's dropped. So all you got to do to fix that is push underneath for the pin, slot it back on, working again. Yeah, you can see the pipe that's kind of dropped off. That should be soldered onto the carburettor somewhere. I'll make a video on doing that, I'm sure I will, if I remember. My memory's like a bloody goldfish at the moment. I'll remember it one minute and then absolutely forget it the next. But yeah, let's get this pulley on and bolted up. So I think that is all that's left to do really, is bolt pulley to engine, and then that'll be, oh for God's sake, that'll be the Ruston done, I reckon. Now I do like the way these pulleys bolt on, because when I was trying to get the Wolseley's pulley off, which I still haven't been able to do, the Wolseley's pulley works like this flywheel. It's got a keyway on it, and in order to get that out, you've got to have all these pullers and God knows what. But these pulleys from Ruston and Hornsby clip on to the flywheel using those 3 prongs. They latch onto this disc, and then you just put 3 bolts around it, which I'll just drop one. These 3 bolts simply slot in, and I might even just take it off its pegs just to slot these 3 in, so that I know it's all lined up. Feel around for that other hole. Got it. And that one lines up with that. Last one. That one goes in there. Right. Get some of these bolts on. If memory serves right, these can be a very snug 19mm. So if there's anyone out there using milled spanners to inch, so 19. What's that one? Okay, from there. Is that a 19? Yep, that's a 19. Also going to need an extension. Socket. Put the spanner behind. Socket on there. Let's line this pulley up on its prongs. There we are. Now again with this, you don't want this thing flying off halfway through a rally, whether it be powering something or not. So you've got to make sure these are lovely and tight. There we are. And we've got the spanner off now. There we are. Stop the flywheel. Ooh. Yeah, this job here is a bit fiddly. Oh, that's tight. Now we've just got 2 more to do. If I can speed this up during editing, I will do. I'm not really sure what this Power Director app can do really. I just want a simple platform really, to where I can edit my videos. It doesn't cost no, but doesn't leave one of them stupid Power Director marks at the bottom of the screen. That's what annoys me. But all the free ones seem to be absolutely terrible. Mind you though, for everything good in this world, you've got to pay for it. But at the moment in time, everything's just too expensive, and people just aren't earning enough. I'm not earning note at all, because I'm still waiting on college to get back to me. I'm looking for jobs. No one's got back to me. I thought going to college doing welding would spark up a few places to be interested in housing me for work, but clearly not. We'll go to college to do welding, pass at the highest level possible, and now no one wants a top at range welder. Well, top of the range in MIG welding. TIG welding I've not had a go at, stick welding I've had a go at, and stick's actually fairly easy, I'll admit. TIG is one that I do want to learn to get into. Oh, I'm just ranting to myself now. Oh, this is boring. Tightening up a screw. If only I had an impact gun. Or at least something electric. All my tools are hand tools. So, that's the pulley on. You see how it's self-centralised, so you don't need to jimmy it about and make sure you aren't at a kink on it. It's a really good design. I don't know why they stopped doing it. But yeah, there we go. And the compression now on this thing seems to be building up, which is rather weird. So I reckon it might be take the cylinder head off and see what's cracking off down there. So yeah. Right, let me just shimmy this across and shove the engine that way if I can. Right, so let me alter the camera direction. So yeah, I'm going to take the cylinder head off, check the valves, check the water ports, and then if all is good down there, I'll have to give it a try at the pear tree event. So yeah. So obviously step one, take the ignition lead off. It's up there. Now then, these should be a 23, if I'm right. Yeah, they're a 23. Bloody hell. Got how tight I do these. Obviously you don't want a cylinder head coming loose, do you? There we are. There's one loose. I had the cylinder head off at the Ilkeston car show, which was rather fun. But yeah, on other news, Kane's YouTube channel. Kane's the person who I sprayed up that international for. No, sorry, not in, yeah, it's Case International. He's started up his. He's changed his name from Basic Farming to the Accidental Farmer. I will see whether or not I can link his channel down below. So it would mean a lot if you could check him out. He's a he's a decent lad. He just needs to get out of being camera shy. Right, I think that's all of them. It's just a job now of getting them out and not dropping your tools as you're doing so. Alright, there we are. Let's have a look and see what horrors lie behind here. Alright, it's broke loose. Right. So we've got a tiny bit of oil underneath the piston, and I did install new rings on this engine, which have oil on the face of the piston. It's something rather concerning. But anyhow, it does look fairly clean. See how it turns over. So there's the exhaust. Exhaust should shut. Intake opens. Intake valve and the exhaust valve. Yeah, that's all looking right. Intake valve opens. Starts shutting. And is shut by the time. See that there. Yeah, that's looking right. So it should be coming up to compression stroke. And it should have obviously ignition. And then exhaust. There we are. And it repeats that cycle again. So suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Or intake, compression, ignition, exhaust. It's what makes your car engines work, your diesel engines work. But with a diesel engine you don't have a carburettor. You'll have an injector either on the port face or on the cylinder head. Right, I'm going to get a flat blade, I reckon. And I'm just going to spin these valves in their seats. And all that's going to do, in my mind, is that's just clearing out some debris. Now I'm going to get the trusty glove rag down inside them valve seats there, cleaning around them so that any gunk, particles or God knows what will get picked up in the glove. Seat that down, move the glove, obviously I should just be able to rock that and spin that to clean the valve. And there's not a lot of gunk on that, but that seat there is looking quite alright. It's lovely and straight. So the next one will be the exhaust. Let's get the exhaust valve open. Lovely. The exhaust valve opens up a lot more than the intake one does. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Yeah, let's wrap the glove around that as much as I can. Close the exhaust valve up. Slot the screwdriver into the slot at the top of the valve and spin. Ah, we are now cleaning the valve seat doing this one, not the valve itself. Right, let's lift that up. Let's lift the exhaust valve up. There we are. So the valve seat was a bit carbon, and let's only put in a bit of the glove now, so it should in theory clean the valve up doing this. Right, there we are. So that is now cleaning the base of the valve. Let's lift it out. Oh yeah. Ah, it's looking loads cleaner. Absolutely tons cleaner, that is. Sounds nice and all. And we're still getting rust particles down here. Not as much as we was doing when I first took the head off. But yeah, still plenty. It just wanted to clear out really. So, for learning on this then, I think I need to have a look at the oil scraper ring. But it's not really a big issue, because when you run the engine every day, it burns off that little bit of oil that collects in the bore. So I think that is this one done. I might even try and start it up, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to try and take all the oil off the inside of this bore. I'm going to let the piston push it up front for me. I'm just going to wipe it off. It's a very boring process, but it needs to be done. But yeah, I will put you back on when I'm putting the head gasket on. Oh no, sorry, the cylinder head. Right, so I was a bit too eager. Cylinder head's on. There is a tiny bit of petrol in the carburettor. HT lead is on. We are choked. Now I need to put this bolt back on. And that was the 21mm. So that, in theory, the spark plug spanner will fit that. Get a bit of cleaning up done. So yeah, spark plug spanner. From 21mm spanner. There it is. Turn it on that side. Turn it on that side. Give this a lovely tighten up. Make sure that the flywheel doesn't slip loose. Right, I reckon, judging by the state of the magneto, it should flick over. Should. There's compression. There we are. So the engine does fire up, and that's all I'm allowed to do. Mother's already screaming at me. But yeah, blame the neighbours why I can't run this properly. They've kind of spoiled the fun. But yeah, I think the real test for this will be on Sunday. It's kind of a pain really, because for the stationary engine insurance I've got to make sure that all engines are running safely, and if I don't give them a test run beforehand, it's kind of not abiding by the insurance. So I've kind of got a test run this on the way. The funny thing is the noise complaint is only on the house, so I can literally take it out onto the street and run it on the street. But I would also then need public liability if I'm doing it there. So realistically, this is the only place really where I can run it. So yeah, the neighbours have kind of screwed me over. But hey ho, smile and wave, best thing to do. So anyway, I think that brings us to the end of this video. The Ruston's running. All bits are mended. I've temporarily joined the pipe down there using a bit of adhesive. I'm hoping it'd work. So yeah, last job of today, clean up, tidy up, make sure it's all ready, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the day of the event, or unless something else pops up. Bye for now.